Hello and welcome to the Measure of Whisky, where we discuss all things Scotch whisky. This week we are going to compare the Glenfiddich 12 to the Glenfiddich 14. Is it really worth paying the extra money to get the 14-year-old? Let's find out. Okay, so obviously both of these drams are distilled at the Glenfiddich distillery up in Speyside. They both come in the recognisable Glenfiddich triangular box and bottle. But what is the difference, or the main differences, between the 12-year-old and the 14-year-old? Well, first of all, the Glenfiddich comes in a green box and bottle, and the 14-year-old comes in a blue box, clear bottle. Great. What about the dram itself though? The Glenfiddich 12 is matured for a minimum of 12 years in ex-bourbon and ex-sherry cask. The 14-year-old is matured for a minimum of 14 years purely in ex-bourbon casks. And first of all, if you are looking at the drams visually, there's not a great deal of difference with regards to the colour. The 12 is a little bit lighter than the 14, as you probably would expect, but there's no dramatic difference in colour whatsoever. Very, very similar, can almost hardly tell the difference. Okay, so let's dive into these drams in a bit more depth and find out what the differences are. Let's start with nosing. Glenfiddich 12. Yeah, I know that smell. I drink Glenfiddich 12 quite often because it is just so easy going. It's really nice. The initial aroma that comes out is, there's a real hint of sweetness, orchard fruit style sweetness, ripe pear, green apple, that sort of thing. Followed up by a little bit of oakiness, kind of vanilla in the background there. But really simple, really fresh, quite fragrant. Okay, the 14-year-old. Wow. Do you know what? That's a surprise. This is the first time I've compared side by side, and I wasn't expecting that at all. It's a lot warmer. There's a lot more vanilla, a lot more caramel coming through that. And that's probably due to the fact that it's been matured 14 years purely in ex-bourbon. So it's going to get that sweetness off the bourbon barrel. Oh, it smells fantastic. Quite a bit more of a difference than I was expecting, to be perfectly honest with you. Super fresh on the nose, much more deeper and complex on the nose. Okay, let's move on to tasting. Glenfiddich 12 first, here we go. These are poured neat. These have nothing added to them. The 12-year-old is bottled at 40% ABV. The 14-year-old is bottled at 43%, so a little bit higher in ABV. But you certainly don't get that on the nose. It doesn't smell ethanol-y at all. Okay, flavour. Super simple. It's really fresh, it's really light. It hangs around for a little while after though. The finish is relatively long, but it's just nice and sweet. You get that orchard fruit again in on the tasting as well. Really, really delicate, just super easy. Okay, 14. Again, similar, but different. Quite different. A lot thicker on the mouthfeel. Yeah, there's way more caramel, there's that sort of toffee, that toffee sweetness coming through. Again, predominantly due to being 14 years in an ex-bourbon cask. Nice finish, nice long finish, really smooth as well. Both of these drams are excellent. So, I'm sure there are a bunch of you watching this going, is there really that much of a difference? There actually is, I'm not kidding here. If I was to put both of these blind tasting, I knew one was a 12 and one was a 14, but I didn't know which was in which glass. I promise you, very, very easy to tell the difference. Even on the nose, without even having tasting it, you can tell that one of them is just a little bit more complex, it has a little bit more of a deeper aroma, and then certainly when you go in for a taste, the freshness of the 12 initially hits the palate straight away, whereas the 14-year-old just has a little bit more thickness to it, and it's a little bit deeper and you know, bit more balanced. I don't know if it's more well balanced, not necessarily because the 12 is very well balanced, but it just offers a bit more to talk about. So to answer the most important question of the night, is it worth paying the extra for the 14-year-old? Well, let's look at price comparison first of all. The 12-year-old you can pick up here in Calgary for around about $50 to $60. The 14-year-old you can pick up for around about $70 to $80. So there's about 20 bucks of a difference. In my opinion, spend the extra 20 all day long. You've probably got a Glenfiddich 12 in your whiskey collection anyway, so go on, spend the extra 20 bucks and get yourself the 14-year-old. You will not be upset. Okay, that's it for this week. Glenfiddich 12 put against Glenfiddich 14. Not overly expensive, a little bit more expensive than the 12, but in my opinion, absolutely worth spending the little bit extra for a 14-year-old. Slainte.
On. The city's gonna be a